What are some underrated metal bands? I've talked a lot about metal bands that I think for one reason or another, either fanbase wise, musically, what sort of recognition they get, are a little overrated. Let's flip the script a little bit and let's talk about some bands that I think are underrated. And you can let me know down in the comment section below the metal bands that for whatever reason you deem worthwhile are underrated. No matter the genre, there is no wrong answer. Let's get into it. I'm personally sick and fucking tired of hearing people talk about how Anthrax are underrated, or some of the German thrash metal bands are underrated. You know who really is underrated? Testament. They make some of the best thrash metal music, and I will say that as someone who has seen them live, they are criminally underrated for their live performances. I think when it comes to solos and riffs and vocals, they are very much slept on, and it would make me so happy to see them get more recognition in the thrash metal scene. They're one of those names that are always brought up on the fringe, but I just don't hear people give them nearly the amount of acclaim and praise that I think that they rightfully deserve. Similarly to Testament, I think that there's a band that is more similar to the Anthrax side of things where you hear them brought up a lot, but I still don't think they get the sort of recognition they deserve, and unfortunately, they're not with us anymore. Bolt Thrower. When it comes to grimy, despondent death metal music with that style, I feel like they slipped through the cracks a lot, especially when they were sitting shoulder to shoulder, and this is kind of the reason I blame it. They were sitting with titans. They were sitting at the table with the pantheon of death metal bands, the golden age of death metal, and I think in retrospect you can get a lot from their music if you go back and listen to them. While they do some impressive numbers, Carnifex is not brought up nearly as much as I wish they were. I think when it comes to really heavy deathcore music that is consistent, that is solid, that is relentless, that is tenacious and ferocious, and doesn't feel the need to be overly technical or progressive or change up their style throughout their discography, Carnifex, probably one of my favorite deathcore bands, period. They don't do anything too flashy, but they still make some incredibly consistent deathcore music. And in sort of the pantheon of deathcore bands like the Suicide Silences, the Whitechapels, the Thy Art Is Murders, nowadays the Lorna Shores and Worm Shepherds, I feel like Carnifex aren't really given the praise that they deserve. Look guys, I'm a big fan of melodic death metal. I've seen In Flames live multiple times. I really love Amon Amarth. I love At the Gate, but in terms of the biggest names in melodic death metal, I still do not feel like Dark Tranquility are as respected as they should be. I think when it comes to the harmonious melodic side of gloomy, doomy melodic death metal that has great production to it, great depth and texture, a lot of dimension to the instrumentation, but still maintaining sort of heaviness, being able to be earwormy and catchy, I love Dark Tranquility, and I would argue that besides Amon Amarth, they are probably my favorite melodic death metal band. Heaven in Her Arms, a bit more of an underground pick. This is a Japanese screamo and post-metal band that I think really do sell that sort of post-metal, shoegazy, screamo-infused music. Some of the most eerie, haunting, gut-wrenching just music that I've heard to come out of post-metal with screamo and shoegaze influence. It really is a full-body experience that just grabs hold of you. It doesn't let up from just the lonesomeness and the coldness, and I think if that is your type of thing, you really would get a lot out of this. In terms of influence, in a similar way to how I think that people don't understand the importance of Sun and what they've had on so many bands, I think the Melvins don't get the sort of recognition they deserve. And I think you could call Melvins a lot of things. There are a lot of people that probably would not call them metal, but I think when it comes to sort of that sludgy stoner metal sort of sound, that fuzzed out distortion has influenced just dozens, hundreds of bands throughout the decades, and with how prolific they are, I think they kind of just, people look at them and they're like, well, Melvins released another album, go next, and they don't even give them a shot. But Melvins have been cranking out some unique, experimental, forward-thinking music for decades now, dozens of albums. I just really appreciate them, and I think they could get a lot more recognition, not only for what they've done for the metal genre, but so many different subgenres, as well as rock, and just testing the boundaries and limits of what you can do with distortion and feedback, being that noisy and being able to kind of break into the mainstream was really impressive. Coming out of Japan again, the gore grind band Pharmacist. I'm not going to go into this much, but when it comes to gore grind, why are they not one of the biggest names in modern gore grind? I do not understand. They are fantastic. They really bring back that 2000s tin can heavy gore gore grind style, but I still have yet to hear another gore grind band that has had this good of production but still feel raw and organic and primal. One of my favorite gore grind projects, period. I cannot believe that they are this slept on. But with that being said, I understand that they are kind of idiosyncratic. They're a little out there, I will say that. Zombie Shark, the one-man project, cyber grind, electronic or whatever the fuck you want to call it, madness, mania, a fucking bipolar breakdown in terms of music. I just cannot get over the sound of this project. I have been able to talk to the mind behind this that brings together synths and electronics with just the heaviest metal music you might ever hear in your life. Check it out, fantastically produced, one of the most unique cyber grind projects, if not the most unique, that I have heard. Period. I will always go back to Zombie Shark. Just be warned, it is very quick, it is very frantic, it is very manic. And those are just some of mine. I may do a part 2 to this. I could probably do a lot of videos in this series, but what are some of your underrated metal bands? You can let me know down in the comment section below, the artists and bands that you think are very underrated for one reason or another. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is, my name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.